Greetings. Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter.
All right, here we are. It's Mark, Sean, and the K-Man. Well, I want to talk about Prey. Oh, that was nice, Kelly. I like that. The Queen's Wave. That's good. Because you're close to Canada. So, what did you think of Prey? You saw it. What'd you think? What's the determinant? Now, the reason I want to get into this is because, of course, we grew up in the 80s. We were there when Arnold was on Johnny Carson, for anyone who remembers what that is. And they played the scene with him saying, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And I remember as a kid thinking, I got to see that movie. And it was amazing, that one. So I was eager for this. So what'd you think? Mark, what'd you think?
Me, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
K-Man,
I was
what'd
concerned.
you think?
No, like it was a good time. Is it the original? No. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Would I put it? Well, and I was telling you guys right before I got on. So I watched Prey with my wife.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's a whole story. And then right afterwards, I was like, let's watch Predator. She'd never seen it. And so we watched the original, Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator. And then we watched Predator 2.
How did she get through life?
What a bold choice with Danny Glover.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just love the point where they're looking at this guy 40 feet up in the rafter, and he's like, "You couldn't put that guy up there." I'm like, "You're 30 years younger than Danny Glover, and he's not that big." What do you mean you couldn't put him up there? It'd be like me saying that to my mom. You couldn't put that up there. Come on, trying to make Danny Glover all awesome. I know. But going back to Prey, like I said, I thought it was entirely serviceable. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. One thing I liked is she was not taken seriously as a hunter by her tribe. She wasn't, taken seriously as something that the Predator would need to deal with. All these armed Indians or the French guys that,
Native Americans.
Native Americans. Is that what we're doing now?
That hit close to home for you,
right? But it allowed her to gather this kind of data, where she would see things or whatever that she ended up using. And so I kind of like that, because what some of us may have been expecting was this amazing Mary Sue ninja Indian of the plains who was doing Native American of the plains who could do all this amazing stuff. And it wasn't that. Like, she actually failed with the mountain lion up in the tree. Got captured by the war.
She didn't fail. She was distracted by
the predator.
Yes.
So what you're saying is she lost focus and did not accomplish the task at hand.
No, I'm saying the Predator's plan was devious to the extreme.
Devious enough. Okay.
Yes. He sent in his minion lion to try to get rid of her first.
His minion lion. Yeah.
That's right. And when that failed, he figured, all right, I better handle this myself.
Right. So I enjoyed it, and I felt if I'd have seen that in the movie theater, I'd have been fine with it. You know what I mean? So that was another thing. Like, why is this on Hulu directly? And my understanding is that's because they want to get people to subscribe to Hulu and kind of increase their
that's what they said.
Subscriber base or whatever. But this definitely did not feel like a direct to video. Like, oh, this is so bad. Let's just put it over here and whatever on like the Batgirl debacle that maybe we can talk about later.
Yeah,
so that's all I have to say about that for now. What about?
What'd you think, hey man? What'd you think?
I got to the end of it, and I have to say, I gave it. I'm debating, actually. I'm still debating on the final rating. I was waffling between 2.5, 2 3/4 K-Mans. I thought for what it was.
Now this is a scale of 1 to 3, right?
Have we lowered the K-Man scale? We compressed it.
No.
Pretty soon it's going to be 1 K-Man or none.
So it's a thumbs up, thumbs down. We're going with the gladiatorial.
It's I'll say 2.5 K-Mans out of 5, because it's it was a solid, entertaining movie to watch. Sure, I had problems with it. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I mean, tying a rope to the tomahawk she's throwing around and somehow whipping that back into her hand, that felt a little. I'm just waiting for that to turn into an ER emergency show.
Right.
That's historically accurate, by the way.
I didn't check with Dan. I'll have to ask Dan if that was
ERs for the plane video.
Yeah, check with Dan. I'm sure he's gonna know. Yeah.
But I thought it was good. I mean, I definitely have issues with it that I don't feel we have to parse out here. But I thought, for an entertaining movie, I thought it was an
That's what we
entertaining.
do.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Yeah, this is
I
the
thought it
whole
was an
point
entertaining
of the.
movie. I thought it was handled well. Um, I really liked some of the scenes with the predator fighting different animals. I thought that the scene with the bear was incredible. Um, and then I actually did like the callbacks to the original movie because there were a couple
Mhm.
of those that were really kind of
Yeah, they
interesting.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I wasn't disappointed. I watched it and I got to the end. I was like, you know what, this is actually pretty cool. Like I dig it. I would like to see more of this. The only big complaint that I have, and I think this is a complaint that everybody can share, is that in each of these movies, somehow these apex predators from the universe just get killed by goofy means. Like we talked about last week in Aliens, where Ripley defeats the Queen with the big mech forklift thing, and somehow keeps her
The
arm
o-
attached while the airlock is open.
the open faced dreadnought.
Yeah,
Yeah. And in this one, the predator gets defeated by the main character. But that's also the drive of the movie. But
no,
there
he
is
was
this.
defeated by his own technology turned against
Yeah. All
him.
right. Now look, let's talk about that for a second
Now
because
wait! You didn't let me give mine.
oh,
All
we
right,
all
before
know
we
we all
get
know.
before we get into the weeds, let's
Yeah,
let
no, but I
Sean
would like to see one of these
tell
at
us how
some
much he
point, and
didn't
maybe
like
this
it.
is my weirdness where the predator or the alien or something actually wins. Like you're going to go into a series, it's okay to let the bad guy win one in the series, you know. So those are my thoughts.
All right. I didn't actually see the movie, so no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Now, I actually felt much like you did, Kelly. Not to waste a lot of time saying the same stuff, but I will. I enjoyed the movie well enough. We just gotten to talk about pacing, right?
Mhm.
For settings and storytelling and stuff. You can tell this guy who did Rogue One, as I believe it's
Was
Dan
this that same guy?
Trachtenberg. Yeah,
Okay.
the director. He has good pacing. Had the same kind of pacing with Rogue One. And if you think about it, the filters they used, the atmosphere they used for the movie, and everything, it kind of looked like a Rogue One style, kind of movie. That kind of setting. So it looked theatrical to me, and that goes a long way. That does. I hate it when it's an Obi-Wan level outing. This was much, much better, right?
Yeah, felt like a
Pacing
movie.
was good. Yeah, pacing was good. I like I guess it's an update, but still kind of harkening back to the same stuff that he had, the camouflage and all that stuff and everything. That's kind of cool. I don't know why they went the railgun route, instead
Mhm.
of just giving him the cannon, because I was kind of looking forward to the plasma cannon. I don't know. Maybe this was a newbie predator and they didn't trust him with it or something. I don't know. But
See, I always got the impression that it was more like they're going to dumb down their technology based on what they're hunting. There's people who literally go out and hunt with an atlatl, or they'll hunt with black powder
is
or
that
a bow.
really?
Even though we can get a modern day rifle with a scope, they're
Isn't that
challenging
really?
themselves to go
Is
out
that
and
really
hunt.
dumbing it down though? Because I mean, the
Well,
biggest the
if you think
biggest thing
about it,
is the invisibility. I'd say
if
that's
if we're if we're
probably
really dumbing it down to really be on
Hey, we
level
wear
ground.
we wear camouflage when we go out hunting, don't we?
Sure, but I mean,
not
if we're
back
really dumbing
then.
it down to get on level ground with the deer, rather than using black powder, bow and arrow, or a rifle or a shotgun, really, you should just strap on some antlers and go out there and just go butt heads with the deer and
Now
see who
that's a
wins.
movie I would
Yeah,
watch.
Yeah.
yeah. Apparently now what they did dumb down, what they apparently the predator's thing is, you change tactics for who you're hunting. Apparently,
Mm.
if you're hunting someone without the AR-15s and the minigun and
Oh,
all of that stuff.
painless.
Yeah, apparently you just go running willy-nilly into the middle of them and stand there while they beat the piss out of you. Um, that was the thing. I liked the pacing of it. I liked a lot of that stuff. That was cool. The Predator seemed noisier to me in this one than he has in previous outings. There was a
Yeah.
lot of clicking. This boy just could not stop talking, right?
Yeah.
But he's excited.
that-
He's a chattermouth.
he definitely was. He was talking smack or doing something, but he was chatty.
He was an
But
adolescent predator.
the and I'm guessing maybe that's it, because the things that did disappoint me. Why would he go after the snake first of all? I didn't get that. You know, I
Poisonous
mean,
rattlesnake.
yeah, I know, but
Well,
I mean, it
here's-
seems.
I watched a couple of videos of other people talking about this after I'd already seen it. I didn't want to spoil anything. And one of the videos mentioned like maybe this was the first predator to ever come to Earth, and he's trying to figure out the food chain kind of thing, like what is hunting what and what's the top of the food chain. I don't know if that's the case or not. Like I'm with you. You know,
If you go,
why is
if you, but you just saw the original Predator again. You
I
just
did.
watched it again.
Mm-hmm.
In that movie, the lady says every few years, for the longest time, these demons have shown up. It's an old legend amongst her people. So this has been going on for forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed odd that he would go down there and there's this. I mean, you are outclassing pretty much everything on this planet, and the first thing you do is go after a rattlesnake. It just seemed kind of.
Yeah, I'm more of the opinion that this is a younger predator trying to establish himself. That's why he made a big deal about wearing that dumbass helmet that he had on. That was,
Yeah, no, it just seems psychopathic rather than actual hunterish. It seemed because if you go into the woods and you're looking for prey, you're not coming to this planet for the rattlesnakes. You're not on the
Those
ship
things
and
are
they're saying,
deadly.
okay, here's the thing you're going after. You're going to start with a rattlesnake, and then you're
Look,
going to work your
look,
way up to a wolf.
You're both so far off base, it's ridiculous. A, it looked cool, and B, it gave our hero, our heroine, if you will, something to find in the woods to be like,
Right. See,
what
that's
gutted
what it
this
came
snake?
across as. That's what it came across as, was plot device. Rather than
Yeah.
actually being realistic, it came across as plot device because I was like, well, that's never happened before. All the other predators, when they show up, they're going after the apex ones. They want the
Right.
ones that matter, right? This just seemed like we got to have something out there for her to find.
But see,
So he goes in and does that. So it was just, it's not a deal breaker. It was just
No.
one of those things that I was like, that's odd, right?
Yeah.
And then
but it's one
after
of those.
that,
But it's one of those things where I thought they would have done that with the mountain lion instead. Now I have to say that
Yeah.
mountain lion, the way that thing moved, I thought that's the most deadly mountain lion I've ever
no
seen.
kidding.
That thing was jumping
It
all over the
used
place.
tactics.
Yes.
It wasn't like other mountain lions. Usually it's going to take one dude, take him down and sit there and choke him out and start feasting, right? Or dragging him off to eat him. It's not going to sit there, kill him, and then start circling the perimeter, trying to throw you off your game and come back at you. You know,
Wearing
like
camouflage.
It's Vincent. We'll go around twice and then come back. They'll never expect it, right?
That's right.
But this mountain lion was like, it was amazing that way. But regardless, the mountain lion would have been a good one to start with. Sure, I could see that. The wolf,
Yeah.
I didn't get the wolf because the wolf, man, if there's one lone wolf and it's one lone wolf against a bear, he ain't charging that bear. He's getting the hell out of there,
I mean,
right?
charge that rabbit.
You're right. And that's not a big jump from a rabbit to a predator. Yeah. So that bit, I was like, okay, another plot device. Okay. All right. So they do that. But I did like the mountain lion thing. I like the actress who was playing, what was her name? I can't remember her name. The main character.
Yeah.
You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Aubrey Plaza. She looks like Aubrey
A
Plaza.
little bit. I
Mhm.
can see it.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked her very much. I liked her character. I liked her character development and stuff too. And I liked the interaction they had. It was, like you said, it wasn't, well, there were a couple things they beat you over the head with, but they didn't beat you over the head with too much. It was actually pretty decent on how they did it. So like the fight with her and the guy, I was like, okay, I can kind of see that, and it wasn't too terrible that way. The only things that I had issues with were the predator himself and his tactics, because that mountain lion would have, that was like a brilliant tactician. That was like Napoleon compared to him and how he was fighting. That predator was just walking right into the middle of everything, then standing there while fur trappers are, throwing him in, had some sort of pit thing laid out that apparently he couldn't see the heat for. They had some heat reflective fur, I guess, or something, and then pulled him off, the whole thing with that. And
No, they were in little foxholes. Like in all seriousness, they had these tarp over a foxhole. You're not going to see a heat signature below ground level. Come on.
They have
Yes, they
intergalactic
will.
travel and they can't figure out heat signatures under a tarp.
We're
Nope.
thwarted. We're thwarted.
Thwarted. Curses.
Yeah. So
Oh, they are
that
friends.
was that was
Yeah,
that
I thought for Frenchmen
bummed
they
me.
fought way too hard.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the other thing. If you're in that group of trappers, right? And you're out in the woods and you're doing that and you're shooting at, I mean, after the first bit, you take him down, suddenly these two claws come out of nowhere. These two big old knives come out of nowhere and pop out of somebody's head. Like Kelly's got him on the ground there. Ha ha, we got him. And suddenly two of those things jump up out of the top of his skull.
Oh no, they got Kelly.
Are you going to hang out there while that thing stands up? You look at that thing. It gets up, throws that shield up. Not even before it throws the shield up. Are you staying there with a flintlock and trying to kill that thing?
Well, I mean, killing Kelly's not that impressive, so I might stand there for a little while longer.
Mark is hoofing it. Don't give me that crap. And I know Kelly for a fact. If we reversed it, and it was Mark who was laying on the ground with two knives out the top of his skull. Kelly would have booked the hell out of there as soon as whatever it was fell over and started bleeding green. Kelly would have been like, "All right, see ya," and that would have been it. But those guys sitting there, standing there, keep shooting at him. And trying to kill this thing, even after it throws up the shield and the whole thing and all that stuff. I was like, that ain't happening. That is not happening. You get something, even today, you get something like that shows up out in the woods, you're getting hell out of there. Yeah, you are gone.
Yeah, because it was a well done ambush, right? Because that's what it was.
Yeah,
they were ambushing this thing, and they're like, "Ha! We've got you!" And then you can see it not working, and then I'd be like, "Run away!"
Yeah, it would have been, they'd have been the hell out of there, right? They would never have gone back to the woods. It wouldn't be, hey, let's capture an Indian girl, see if we can figure out what this is, because we got to get beaver pelts, right? It's not going to, beaver pelts ain't that important. We can go get those someplace else. This area is verboten. We're staying out of here, right?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't have happened, in my opinion.
Right.
That was where it started to go off the rails a bit with the action and stuff, was because the Predator stayed there in the middle of the camp circle and just kept taking a beating, kept taking a beating. And then when her brother comes back riding on the horse and knocks his helmet off and all that, and suddenly he's getting beat up by two, it was kind of like you're sitting there getting beat up by two little groundhogs. You're walking in your yard, two groundhogs come up and decide, that's it, you're not mowing the lawn today. And they go after you and just beat the piss out of you.
You sound like you're speaking from personal experience, Sean.
My neighbor,
you want to share with us?
I saw it once with my neighbor, and just like I did with the Predator, I ran away. but the Predator, in all honesty, two humans with spear, knife, tomahawk, all that stuff, there's no way. There's just no way that's going to happen. None at all. And the whole bit about pulling the fang off the front of his mouth, I was like, that's not, try to pull my finger off, right? It's not going to work like that. What is she, like 18 years old or something, and all of like 5'2", and she's going to rip that off his face and then stab him in the eye with it. And he's strong enough to sit there and jam his shield through solid rock.
Through stone, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I was thinking that, okay, come on. Now we're getting
made
into
of vibranium.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching, something like, you kind of stole my joke, American Ninja Warrior. She was sitting there just leaping all over the place. Her brother was stabbing him through the shoulder and shooting him in the back of the head and doing all. It instead went from Predator to him. Now he became like Mike Myers or Jason, where he's just taking shot after shot after shot, and he just won't die, and he keeps coming back. You put him in the mud, he comes rising up out of the mud, and all that stuff. It wasn't Predator. Predator in the first one he was hunting them. He was tracking them down, and from a distance or stealthily coming up and taking them.
That's where I think the discussion was right earlier. I feel that this Predator is trying to prove something, rather than being one of the apex breed of the predators of the universe. Is he's down here on some sort of mission to prove his value to do something, and they're looking at it as sort of a backwater planet. You should be able to defeat these things easily, and so he's just collecting.
And I'd be fine with that. That would
coming of age story, Predator style kind of thing.
See, I think if they gave it some prologue like that or something, or epilogue like that, or anything like that to explain that sort of thing, I think that'd be great. But at this point, I feel even though I like this movie, I feel like I'm now in a series that's much like Friday the 13th or Halloween, where no matter which
Okay.
version it is, whoever the chick is in the movie is going to be the only one left at the end who's going to end up killing Predator, but he comes back again for the next one. And they kind of set it up for that in this one, where at the end of the credits, they show the 3 ships coming down, and the Indians pointing up and all that. So, and of course, the callback with the flintlock.
With the pistol,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like what you said, Kelly, if this thing, you're running the risk of making him like Boba Fett, where every time he shows up, you just don't feel much of a threat at all because you know he's going to screw up and die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be
Yeah.
a really vicious character.
And the only time they've ever tried to get away from this trope is like the Aliens versus Predator, where now the Predator can kill the aliens with glorious abandon.
Yeah.
Because we're they're both bad guys to us, and so we're like, well, the aliens are probably more like animalistic in creatures versus the Predator is intelligent kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I hear what you're saying, and that so far is the only time I think we've gotten to see a Predator just be a Predator and win.
Yeah. It feels like, it's kind of like that whole thing I talk about with Star Trek. Every time I watched Star Trek, I knew the humans were going to win because they're human, and humans are just awesome. They're going to be able to overcome all that stuff, and that bores.
Well, to be fair, this movie was made for humans.
It was made for predators, not for humans. And that's why those 3 ships, when they show up,
humans are the target demographic for both Star Trek and Predator movies.
They better be, because the Predators are going to be very disappointed in how they're shown.
Yeah.
That demographic is going to leave very quickly. But yeah, that was my issues with it. And though, admittedly, for me, those were bigger issues. But I did like the movie. I like the pacing of it and all of that. And if they got another one, I'd watch that. I like the character. I like the girl. I actually, when I turned to Helena, this disappointed me, by the way. I turned to Helena afterwards and I said, so what do you think? She said she liked it and went through all that stuff. She had some of the same complaints I did. And I said, well, for me, and she said, oh, I know you're going to say it didn't have enough cost. The dog should have died, right? And I was like, the dog? The hell? I said, kill every other human in the movie if you want. Why you got me? What sort of monster do you think I am? I'm sitting here looking for the dog.
No, the dog is way too smart for that.
Yeah.
I was mildly concerned when the bear started chasing the dog. I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah.
No, I figured the dog was going to make it.
Yeah.
But there was plenty of cost. That's the thing about the Predator movies. They don't shy away from that. They kill all kinds of people off with that sort of thing.
Like I wasn't sure they were going to kill her brother. They did. And they had the red shirt Indians that they were able to kill off as well. And of course, the Frenchmen were there to die. So
yeah, absolutely. And so they had plenty of cost. There was no issue with that, none at all. But yeah, she liked it, but she had some of the same issues. And I told her the same thing you said, Kelly. As soon as she put that cord on the tomahawk, I didn't tell her immediately because I didn't want to ruin the movie for her. So I waited, and she asked me a question about it or something later on in the movie, and I said, "Yeah, that wouldn't work. That doesn't work." I said, "Have you ever tried to chop wood?" I said, "As soon as you hit a log with an axe or a hatchet or any of that, you ain't pulling that out on some rope. That ain't happening. You got to work that thing out. And if you did yank that thing free on a rope, you realize how quickly everyone around you is going to scatter because of that. It's like at a Top Secret when they shot that hook up over the wall.
Missed the hook straight up,
and everybody runs. The same kind of thing. Everybody get the hell out of there. So that whole thing of whack, 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 whack. Apparently the trees are made of like balsa or something.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a little Hollywood kind of thing. I was like, all right. In some ways, it would have been better had she gotten stuck in the mud and like did it on the fly. Like, oh crap, I got to get out of here. And then
that would have been cool.
Through it, I could have seen that as a little bit more like, oh, I need to throw this thing and pull myself out of the mud. And maybe she never took the rope off or suddenly had to use it where it was more of a desperate thing as opposed to a thing she just started practicing. And that's why I say she used a little like, I've invented this new martial arts, tomahawk bungee or something. But again, it's a Hollywood entertainment. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Helena tried to tell me. She said, "Well, you don't know. They might have had something like that." I said, no, they didn't. No. I said maybe somebody experimented with it, but you know what happened? They died.
They died or lost a hand.
And the other guys who were there with him, who thought it was a cool idea, real quick figured out, no, that's not a cool idea.
As soon as that femoral artery got cut,
I could overcome it just because, like, okay, it's Hollywood, whatever. I don't need extreme realism for my Predator movie. But
by the way,
that took me out of the moment.
By the way, when Helena watches this, no, I love you, baby. That whole thing was just, I'm having fun. But that was, but that was a smaller thing. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And my understanding is the actress is actually Native American.
Yes, she is.
She is
not. She's not
even the French guys.
She's not Comanche.
The French guys were Native American.
The French guys were actually French. No, they were Canadian, weren't they? I think. But I forget what tribe she's from. It's not Comanche, but it's close. But I thought that was cool. I read an article. They put a couple things in there that were in honor of, because he tried to be as accurate as he could to the culture at the time.
I heard they filmed a version in the Comanche language as well.
That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
And which would be interesting to see, because they'd have to, because it didn't look like lip syncing or anything, so that would mean they'd have to actually
no, it wasn't.
Film.
I think they filmed like, okay, do your line in English, now do your line in
so that'd be interesting to see. I actually would like to see that. I actually think I would have preferred that. But the bit where she whistles when the dude's the one who bled her brother, she's got the Predator coming out to kill him. Mm-hmm. That's actually in reference to a Native American superstition that you don't whistle at night, because if you whistle at night, then you summon an evil spirit. Mm-hmm. And so the idea was that that's what she was doing. This was the demon that was in the woods, and she was summoning it so that it would kill that dude. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then something about the war cry she did at the end. She did that as a kind of an improv thing or something, I think. So, but yeah. So, and the toothbrush thing. Apparently, the toothbrush they used in the camp, the Native American camp, that's actually what they used to clean their teeth, which I didn't know. Like, all right, how about that?
And like I said, this is one of those movies I'd watch it again. And so I think one of the, there's a lot of movies. I checked that off the list. I'm done with it. And it has to be good enough that I'd be willing to go watch it again and look for the things that I haven't seen before, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And so this was definitely, I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So
like watching John Wick yesterday, I'm not going to watch that again. Watching Prey, I would totally go watch that again. So I think that's a fair point.
You didn't like John Wick?
I mean, it was fine, but I wouldn't go back and rewatch it.
John Wick was amazing. That was great.
I found it predictable.
It's not about the predictability. It's about the elegance of it. Was meant to be what it was. That's what I loved about it.
It was just an action flick beginning.
Well, not just one. That choreography was really good, and his technique for using the firearms and the fighting and all of that was amazing. It was great. I loved watching that because it was one of the first ones I've seen where they've had good technique. When he goes to reload that Glock. When he goes to Glock, when he goes to reload that HKP 30, and he does the flip like that.
Yep.
You don't have to do that, but
I called that out to Debbie. I mean, go ahead, because Debbie was over here watching it with me yesterday because she loves the John Wick movies, and she'll tell. I mean, I commented on, oh my God, look, he reloaded. Oh wow, look how he flipped that magazine out and then put the other one in. I was like, that's really awesome. You don't see that in movies very often.
You know why he did that? Because that's what you have to do with Glocks a lot of the time. Or, you don't have to. But that's what a lot of people default to. Because it doesn't drop out because Glocks suck.
All right, hold up.
He would do, you do that flick to get it out of there. With a P30, like the one he has, the one he uses in the original John Wick, you don't have to do that. It's got a positive ejection, so it just shoots that magazine out. But you could tell he practiced a lot with a Glock because he goes and does the flick and then pops the other one in and does press check. I love that. So that was really cool. Yeah,
those
I
parts
don't.
that were fine, but the Prey movie, I think was just more. It was more entertaining to me. Like I was more caught up in the Prey movie than I was in John Wick. Like in John Wick, I knew what was going to happen in each
Yeah.
phase of the story. So the fight scenes were really well choreographed. The story was not enough to keep me involved all the way through. Whereas Prey, I was involved the whole way through the story. You know, I liked it. You know,
Yeah.
issues aside, I still liked it. And
And I will
You
say that
didn't like the fact that in John. See, the thing I liked about John Wick was that it didn't require much of a story.
no, I thought
Remember, I
about
was
that.
saying movies
yeah,
that just don't even give you a pretense of trying to make you
that's right.
buy this. You know,
Yeah.
kills his dog. That's enough. I'm in. All right, let's do it. Let's kill it. Matter of fact, you didn't even have the dog. You could have just
No, I
had
mean,
him,
well, I
going
thought
on his thing. But
I thought about what Mark had said while I'm watching the movie of like, okay, you kind of believe what this world is and you don't understand why certain things exist, but it also is like on some level you really don't care because you still sort of you can
yeah,
quickly immerse yourself
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
straightforward.
I love the subtle world building in John Wick, and it gets better with in 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? Like John Wick 1 is a little bit of it in there. 2 goes a little bit deeper into it. 3 might even go a little too deep into it, but so you're not done. You still have homework to do. Trust me.
All right.
who do you think would win between? Because I was
John Wick and
thinking,
Predator.
no,
John Wick.
Definitely the Predator.
no, John Wick would. Unfortunately, at this point,
He gets more per
because
contract than whoever dressed up as
plot
In fact, when you
armor.
think about it, at this point, the Predators have to go after John Wick because they're looking for that, a worthy opponent.
Ultimate prey. That's right.
That's right. Well, we already got Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who's our generation's action hero? Liam Neeson.
that would probably be the only time
Predators
Predator
kidnap
could-
Liam Neeson's daughter.
That would probably be the only time Predator could actually win is going after Arnold now. You go after him at this point, that would be Predator 8. They wait until he's in hospice, and then they come in and get him.
Right. Ha ha! Predator
Or-
dressed,
Agent
dressed
Predator.
as a nurse.
Or you go back far enough in time, the Predator versus Boba Fett. That he could win as well. That would be the only two that he could win, according to Hollywood. But who do you think would win? Because I was thinking about this. Like you mentioned Alien versus Predator and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about the old time, this monster versus that monster crossover stuff, right?
Like you do.
Who would win if you did it between John Wick, Jason Bourne, 007, James Bond, and who's the other one?
Which James Bond?
It doesn't matter. 007.
No, I mean if it's
Daniel
Roger
Craig.
Moore or if
Let's
it's
keep it
Daniel
modern.
Craig.
Daniel Craig.
And 13 or 11 or what his name was in The Gray Man. I'll throw that in there because why not?
Yeah, why not? Who would win?
Yeah,
I'm going to go with John Wick because his suit is bulletproof, and nobody else was smart enough to do that.
For me it's going to come
bullet
down.
resistant. Not
I got you.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to come down on the side of John Wick probably because I think he has a bigger fan base, Keanu Reeves does, than
Yeah, that's true.
the rest.
If I was a Hollywood executive, clearly it would be John Wick because we could build the biggest franchise on that.
I'm going to go with John Wick because John Wick doesn't need to use shaky cam. The other guys need shaky cam to make their stuff look at least halfway decent.
I will say this: the Bourne movies, I think, were the best use of shaky cam to kind of give you that visceral feeling. I loved it when he's jumping off jumping off some roof through a balcony, and the cameraman follows him. Like on a bungee cord or whatever. Like I said, they did a really good job on the cinematography of Bourne. You really felt like these guys are beating the crap out of each other, and like I say, it didn't take me out of it the way it did in say Obi-Wan or some of these other.
I remember
times that have used it.
I used to have arguments with Helene about that, about how she never should have gotten involved in that fight. The girl, when he's sitting there trying to fight the dude, and she tries to jump in there, and then gets hit. I would tell Helene, look, if I'm ever in a situation like, please don't try to help out. Don't do that. You're not going to help. It's just going to.
I'm doing this so you can get away.
Right.
Get away.
That's
So frustrating when people don't do that.
No problem with Kelly that way. Kelly would be kind of like, hey, if you can hang out a moment longer, I mean, just a moment
No.
longer.
By the
Just so
time you
can...
turn to me, you're in the middle of the word run. I'm already gone. Run, and
What's that on it's not Jumanji, what was the other, the second Jumanji movie, like Welcome to the Jungle with the Rock and whatnot, when the dudes all show up on the motorcycles and he goes run, he turns around, they're all already running down the yep, that's what it would be.
Yeah,
no, because
it'd
I
be
mean,
nice.
look,
I tell Kelly it'd be nice if you could hang around long enough to identify my killer.
Yeah,
That's
so
all
you
I'm
can
asking.
like
Just get a
look
good
over
look,
your
then
shoulder
run.
as you're running
no,
away.
because you know what? If I make myself a target that way, I can identify somebody. They want to come get me. Right now, I'm establishing number one, I'm not a threat. Number two, I can't identify you. You know,
This is a well thought out plan, Kelly. Good job.
if you want me to run and go get some things for you, I'm establishing that I'm quick enough to go do that. You want coffee?
All
I'll go.
right. So I have to share the story that I saw 1/3 of Bullet Train the other day.
I
Oh,
saw
really?
the
Which
entire
just
movie
came out.
yesterday.
Oh, you
Did you watch
did?
the whole thing?
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen it. Is it any good?
So my wife and I were like, we got some friends from church that is a guy. She used to live in this area, and so she knows the wife from years ago, and we kind of hung out a few times.
Oh, your wife used to live near.
My wife used to live in this town, and so knew this woman, and so we see him at church, and we went out and did something one time before, and she was like, oh, they wanted to get together and do something, like maybe go see a movie or something, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'd spend Friday night and go see a movie with some people. And so we went to see Bullet Train. And so we met up at the mall, got some dinner at the food court, we go see Bullet Train. And it was what I was expecting from the previews, but it was a little more gory violent than maybe the previews would lead you to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like you're expecting this kind of, Sean, I'm not sure why, but I'm not hearing your voice.
You're muted.
Yeah. But anyway, like.
So it was gory, but silly gory.
I think
gory.
so. I think silly gory, and there was quite a bit of harsh language in the movie as well. And I think the lady we were with wasn't expecting that level, and so she was like, I don't know if I want to. It was the Brazil scene that kind of, I think, put her over the top, where they're basically wearing raincoats to protect themselves from all the spattery blood and whatnot. Yeah. So at that point, they're whispering, and I'm like, why are they talking during this movie? What the heck? And then he was like, she really want to finish it, and so we kind of go out in the lobby, and it was like, what are we gonna go do? So we ended up seeing Thor: Love and Thunder because the ladies hadn't seen it. And like he didn't want to see it. Ray's like, whatever,
And she wasn't offended. And she wasn't offended by that.
Nobody's offended by that. Come on. So I only got to see a third of it, but I'm, and again, when we went out, and I was just like, we're in the lobby, and they're talking, oh, we could go get dinner, but we'd already eaten, or we could go do this, or we could go see another movie, or whatever. And I'm literally in my mind going, we could call it a night and go home and watch Prey, because I hadn't seen that yet. And I was like, that's kind of what I wanted to go do. But I didn't want to cut the evening short and make her feel bad or whatever.
I think, Sean, if you went to go see Bullet Train on a matinee, I think you'd be fine with it.
Nah, I don't think I will.
Okay. Well, and like I said, we had that Regal Cinema pass. So it cost me like 50 cents to go see a movie or whatever, or it's free depending. And so like, if I'd paid money for it, that might be a whole different story. But when you can literally go to any other showing and it's free, included in your $20 a month or whatever that you pay, it was like, no big deal. So it was not a big deal, and I still intend to go like see it again or finish it. And then another quick story. So our intro music and outro music for this podcast, I got from a royalty-free kind of, here's music you don't have to pay for, but you can use it for things like this, and we have a license for it and everything, because that's a big deal on YouTube and places. And after about the first 2 or 3 of our podcasts that we put out, I get a copyright claim every single time. Right. And they're automated, right? Nobody's like listening to our podcast every week and going, that's our music. Right. But some automated algorithm without fail, when I go to upload it, like goes, there's a copyright claim. And so I go dispute, and I plug in the information for the license that we have. And without fail, a couple days later, it's like copyright claim released. And so if you have a copyright claim, like let's say we were making $1 bazillion on this or getting a bazillion views, like we wouldn't get the money for that. The people, we can't monetize a video that has a copyright claim. Not that we are, but it's the principle of the thing. So the other day I come home and the email says your copyright claim has been reviewed, which is different than copyright claim has been released. And so I click on that and it was like, oh, the people who, are claiming the copyright thing, like they reviewed it and they disagree with you stating that. And they're like, if you want to dispute it further, like this could be a big deal legally, and they make you put in your name and your address and info, like, because think about it, if you're going up against Sony Music or something, you got to make sure you have your ducks in a row. But in this case, I do have my ducks in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, heck no. And so I'm kind of angry at this point. And so I literally plug it in, and they're like, because I said, no, we have a license for this. And they said, no, you don't. And so I went back and was like, yes, we do. Here's the link. Here's the license. And I was like, the complainant does not own the copyright to the music that we're using, even though they're claiming it. And right after that, I got released again. But I was like, you're making me do this every single time. You guys should clean up your algorithm and quit wasting my time, and then to review it and not say a thing. So that's a little behind the scenes, thing that you guys aren't even aware of, because I'm the one that's actually doing the uploading and I see it. But so that was my day. I think yesterday or day before or whenever it was, because that just upset me.
I've been lucky on that in my podcast because I had a license agreement for first piece of music that I wanted. I actually reached out to the agents for the artist who actually wrote and performed it and got a license. I was surprised because the license only cost me $100 for the year. Because I was a small podcast, they gave me some sort of deal. Mm-hmm. And then another one, I reached out to the actual composer and he gave me permission to use, actually sent me the audio recording. So I've actually been pretty lucky that way. But I hear a lot from
what kind of representation does Hall & Oates have?
A cousin. You have to just write to the cousin.
Just write to Hall & Oates' cousin.
Yeah. No, I mean, but I hear other creators running into that issue all the time.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I just stay
the estate of John Denver.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is the thing. Like, I understand you created this music.
I do too.
And you want to, monetize it and retain your rights. Like, we all understand that. But it seems like YouTube, and I'm going to use TikTok as an example, are going two completely different routes. Mm-hmm. With YouTube, it is literally built around these copyright claims, and if you use music, they won't let you upload it, or they'll immediately demonetize you, or it's all very, like banhammer kind of stuff. Like, if you get 3 copyright strikes against your channel, we'll boot your whole channel, things like that. Like, I get that. And whereas TikTok, it's like, we've got licenses or agreements with all of these musicians, and they want their music to be on these silly TikTok videos.
Yeah.
How many songs that were out years ago became popular on TikTok, and now they're selling and they're charting. So it seems like this
they're using it like a marketing avenue.
Yeah, the attitude of collaboration that goes on with TikTok is, and granted, they're two completely different like types of content. So I understand that, and TikTok is very music heavy, but they're leaning into it. Yeah, they are. Like, people are going on TikToks and doing a 40-minute video talking about a topic, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally 30 seconds and most of it is music. I'm dancing to it, I'm lip syncing to it, I'm doing whatever. So like, I get that, but it's one of those things like, I've heard of artists who like, oh, so-and-so's on TikTok, and they brought their whole album with them, their body of music, and are letting other people use it on TikTok for these silly videos that
I'm sorry you got to go through that, man. I appreciate you doing it, though.
Yeah, because some people see it as an avenue, right, to get more of their stuff out there, and by this sort of free use approach to it, you get more play, you get more attention, that kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. YouTube has gone the other very heavy-handed corporate route of,
Hey, did you see Sandman?
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't seen
it a show? What's that on?
Yeah, you remember the comic book, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I think I've seen a trailer for it. But I mean, what is it? Is it a show? It's Netflix, on what platform? Okay,
it's on Netflix. Yeah, it's a Netflix series that just came out this week.
Okay.
So Helena and I have been going through that. Did you read any of the Sandman?
little bit.
If I did, it would have been way back when it like came out, and I don't really remember it. Now, Kelly, I did just finish that ILM documentary on Disney Plus that you were talking about a few weeks ago.
Well, there's two. There's the one on Disney Plus. That's the ILM one. But then there's the one that's on Hulu. That's Icons Uncovered. That's Unearthed. Icons Unearthed. That's the one that I was talking about with you. So the ILM one I'm actually in the middle of now.
Okay. So. No spoilers, but they do a bunch of movies.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's true.
So many.
But Helene's watching the Sandman thing, and I've always felt about Neil Gaiman like he's and this may be unfair, but he always came across to me as like a lesser version of Alan Moore. Like everything he's done just about has been him coming in and writing after Alan Moore has started it. You know what I mean? So like with Miracle Man or Swamp Thing, stuff like that, where he'll come in and write after that. Now, he's always given credit to Alan Moore. He's always said, as a matter of fact, Alan Moore was one of his inspirations. But to me, Neil Gaiman comes up with some cool characters. I like Sandman. I like the character, and I like a lot of the mythos with it. But then it feels kind of like I'm watching a more adult version of Harry Potter in a way, and I'm wondering if you'll feel the same way when you see it. And it makes sense to me. I was looking at a kind of the history of the production and all that. Apparently the comic book, because I remember Sid, was that his name at Blue Beetle?
Yeah, Sid, yeah.
Sid was so much into Sandman. And I'd go over there and he'd just tell me, oh, you got to read Sandman. You got to read Sandman. Sandman's, it's like Shakespeare for the comic world or whatever, right? And I remember reading, I was like, man, it's all right. It's got some cool stuff and other stuff's kind of pretentious and, okay. But when I was reading this, I remember it said in that article, it was saying that Sandman was one of the only series that it was predominantly popular with women, and that women would read it, and the type of women who would read it mostly never read any comics and didn't read any other comics. They just read that one. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I can see why that would be. So I was interested to see what your thought is on that. So anyway.
Okay, I will add it to the list.
Do that. I'm glad you saw Prey. I'm glad you guys saw that. And I'm glad you guys were pretty much on the same page with me on that. I figured you would be. So, because you're smart. So there's really no doubt.
Yeah.
So anything you guys are watching or doing or any of that you...
Well, like I say, have you guys heard that the whole thing about the Batwoman movie that
yes, I did.
Canceled? So they spent like $80-90 million on a Batwoman movie that was always intended to go to HBO Plus. Like it was the equivalent of a direct-to-video, if you're old enough to remember when, kind of the low budget or the not very, cinematic movies would go right to Blockbuster. You know what I mean?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
straight to video.
So they're making this Batwoman movie, and it had Michael Keaton in it, like as reprising his role as the original Batman.
I don't know
that. Shut up. And I guess like streaming was going to be like the next big thing. So last year, HBO Plus, I guess Paramount is the parent company, released all of their theatrical releases same day and date to HBO Plus. So we got like Dune, and we got The Matrix, and we got other big name movies that appeared on HBO Plus at the same time they went to the movie theaters. And clearly that has eaten into the profits of the movie, because paying $10-15 a month is not the same as paying $10-15 a ticket, plus your wife, plus whoever you go to see, and buying
and the popcorn.
And I was about to say in the popcorn, but Paramount doesn't get a piece of the popcorn.
I know. I know.
Right, and so, but anyway, a lot of people thought movie theaters were kind of heading out. Now the streaming is getting big, especially with the pandemic and everybody being at home, and I think they did it to get subscribers, and that seems to have worked, right? But now I think we're kind of at that point where the pandemic is less of a, like, I'm not aware of any restrictions on people going to the movie theaters or people having concerts or people going out and doing things like there has been for the last couple of years.
Mhm.
And I think the movie companies have all looked at their bottom line and go, yeah, there's a reason we held on to Top Gun until the movie theaters opened back up. Because if they'd have put it out streaming, it would not have made $1 billion like it has. So tie that all in together, I guess the HBO Plus people and Discovery Plus, like their parent companies all merged and they got bought out or something.
Yeah.
And so the new guy comes in, he's like, hey, you guys should retire. You suck. And so some people have left the company and they're looking at these projects that are like in development. They're like, okay, we've spent 80, 90, $100 million on this Batgirl movie, which is, I've never seen it, but the test screenings are terrible. And they're like, okay, if we're going to fix this, we're probably going to spend another $100 million, right? Update the CGI. Because remember, this was going to be a direct-to-video movie. Now it's got to compete with what's coming out in the theaters. It's got to be good. And to reshoot a bunch of things and maybe update some costumes. Who knows? Blah, blah, blah. The guy's like, yeah, this is a disaster. We're going to take the write-off of $100 million and just, like, they said that their reputational damage would be too great to even put it out on streaming. Right. So how bad a movie did you make where they're like, if we put this out with our name on it, it's going to hurt our brand.
Yeah.
And this is the same company that has put out all of the DC movies so far, like, which have not been great. Let's be honest. This is the DC movies we're talking about.
Right.
In the meantime, Sony will put Morbius in the movie theaters twice and whatnot. So this is a big deal.
It is.
Like let's scrap $100 million movie.
Yeah.
Well,
and
from
never
what I
let it
heard,
see the night of day.
From what I heard, I was listening to Kevin Smith because he was talking about that, and he said apparently because of the merger they could take a one-time tax write-off.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't realize it was like a one-time because of the merger.
Yeah. And it was a one-time tax write-off because of the merger where they only end up losing, I forget how much it was, like 20 million, something like that. And so they figured, all right, we'll take the hit on that rather than spending the money on it. But the deal is it can never come out because if it ever comes out, then the government's
you game the system and got a tax break.
You got to pay on it.
How bad must that movie be?
Apparently bad, and
I now really want to see just how. Like, just send me 5 minutes of it.
Oh, come on! You know there's going to be some leaked footage or something.
Oh yeah,
it's going to make its way out to the YouTubes.
But the thing is that wasn't the only thing. Apparently, he scrapped everything TV oriented for DC.
Which is what I mean. Like I think these big media companies are realizing their bread and butter is still at movie theaters.
Well, maybe, but I mean, you got Disney Plus with Marvel.
Yeah, no, that's true.
True, but Marvel's still putting out their movies.
They are
in the movie theater, and then they come over. But you mean the Disney Plus shows?
Yeah,
right. But I'm with you. I agree. But Marvel is the only one that has this kind of big cinematic universe that people want to see. What's going on with these characters.
Now, I'm going off of what Kevin Smith said. But he said that the guy...
What does he know? Come on.
Well, apparently a good bit because he had a deal with them to do a show.
Okay.
And it got nixed. Right? They called him
some
and
sort
said,
of Hollywood insider.
Yeah.
So he was
ready for the new Clerks movie, by the way.
Well, it sounded that what he was going to do sounded pretty cool. It was a little anthology series they were going to do for HBO Max. And it was going to be about lesser known characters, and they gave him a list of characters to choose. Hey, would you love to do an episode? He said, yeah, sure. And he thought it was going to be like a $3-4 million thing. Maybe they said, nope, these are going to be $20 million episodes. Jeez. So he was like, wow, all right. And so he was going to do one on Bizarro. And it sounded pretty cool. Sounded like it had a kind of a cool ending and all that, but who knows, because he's Kevin Smith. You never know what you're going to get, right? It's like a box of chocolates. But he got the call afterwards that, no, got nixed. The guy said, now this was the weird thing. He said the guy said they want to emulate the model that Marvel is doing. And he thought, well, that's odd because Marvel is doing shows. They're doing shows and doing like crossover stuff and lead up stuff and all that, and not just cinematic. So that part didn't make sense. But again, it's coming through Kevin Smith.
True.
So who knows?
Well, I could also see him going, we're spending $20 million for an episode of Bizarro, and somebody going, no, that's too much. Let's just and again, these were spearheaded under the previous administration.
No, I get it.
If you don't like what they've done or where the direction they're taking, and you're cleaning house, to be like, you guys are out. Here's where we're going to go forward. You can revamp the idea and pitch it at a more modest budget or a more, you could do the same idea, but still throw the stuff out.
It was apparently already in pre-production. So it's not like they hadn't spent money on it already. It was already, the wheels were moving. It was already going, right? So at that point, you'd think, all right, well, we've already spent something, in for a buck, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's just see what happens. You got some decent names with it. As a matter of fact, for the Bizarro thing, the person he had, he said it wasn't confirmed yet, but the person they were negotiating with to be Bizarro was Nick Cage. And I thought, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. That would have been, I would have watched Bizarro Nick Cage. I would have. I'd have been like, hey, that's actually really kind of funny. I'd have actually liked to see that. Because Nick Cage was supposed to play Superman in a movie way back in the day.
Yeah. Right. So have you guys seen that Nicolas Cage, the Unbearable Weight?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet, but I hit the red box and they had it. And I was like, because I don't know if it's out streaming or whatever, but I hit the red box. So that's on my watch list for later tonight. So I was like, okay, I want to see that.
I thought it wasn't horrible.
I'll be interested.
K-Man says it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, and then I also got the
K-Man gave it a 1 out of 1.
Not horrible. That's a thumbs up from the K-Man. And then I got that the other one. What is it? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I didn't see that one yet. Let me know how that is.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, I'm
I've heard
forward to both of
good
those.
stuff about
But
that
see,
one.
my thing is between the DC and the Marvel universes, right? I mean, Marvel was always the stronger comic book company. They always had the stronger characters, stronger storylines. I did like some DC superheroes. I thought they were interesting.
Yeah.
But they didn't really hold a candle in many ways to what the Marvel comics were. And same in the movie world. When Marvel started putting out movies, I was like, oh my God, what's this going to be? But they pulled it. It was entertaining. It pulled it off. They made it fun to go to the movies. DC has just continues. In my opinion, and this will definitely kill our chances of getting any DC promotion on this show. But I'm just saying, like, DC just has never, outside of Batman, really brought much. And even Batman seems to be the same tired trope over and over again. And I mean, Marvel just made each iteration of something, Thor notwithstanding, entertaining through and through.
Yeah, I will say that, like, how many Batman movies have we had since the Michael Keaton, the first one? We've been going back to that well a lot.
Yeah, same with Spider-Man, though. I will say that Spider-Man's been doing the same thing.
Spider-Man's doing the same thing. I was so
Spider-Man, I think, is justified.
See Uncle Ben get killed in the Marvel iterations. Like, how many times are we going to relive that story?
I'm tired of the origin stories for them now.
Right, but for DC, like, it's Batman has been made into like 3 trilogies at this point, working on a 4th, I think. But they have this huge catalog of characters, right? And then we look at Marvel. It's like, let's see who we're gonna get: Ant-Man, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Ms. Marvel. Like, they're taking some of these B and C tier characters and creating compelling content around them.
Well,
I like some
of it.
No, I read comics and nobody reads Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody reads that. Like,
apparently, you and James Gunn. That was you guys.
It works better on screen.
Yeah, it does.
There is a
Guardians was never
true.
like this.
That's true.
Top tier comic book. None of those characters were top tier. Now, we all remember Thanos from the Infinity Gauntlet, series and whatnot. So they are, picking and choosing the villains and things like that. But if you can take a character like Ant-Man and make a compelling movie about it, you mean to tell me there's not an equivalent in the DC, lineup? Go find something that's not Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern. What other characters? And I don't know, because I'm not a DC person, but who's the dude with the flaming head? Remember him? He's got like the nuclear powers or whatever. I used to read him
Are you talking about the one that was in
DC.
in Teen Titans?
Maybe.
I don't
Firestorm?
know.
No,
Yeah.
I don't remember the guy's name. Anyway, I remember I used to read that comic book.
Yeah.
Deathlock was Marvel.
Deathlock was Marvel.
I didn't read a whole lot of DC. Usually, I'd like steal my brother's comics and read
That
those.
must have pissed them off too, because DC came up with most of the stuff first, and then Marvel would just steal it and do it better.
Yeah.
it's like Marvel is China.
Hey, that's a really good idea.
Yoink.
Change
right.
just enough of it so that it's not infringement of copyright or trademark.
Sometimes.
No, that's true. But I mean, everyone has
Not
a
always.
speedster. Everyone has a this. Everyone has a that. And, but that's my point, though, is like, I'm sure that it would take all of a few minutes of searching the DC comics to find some cool little comic or some cool little character and go, I bet we could tell a cool story about this.
See, I always loved Darkseid. I thought Darkseid was a great villain.
Lobo. There you go. Lobo's DC.
Lobo's cool. I like Lobo. I know
Lobo would play well, probably.
I think
that would do
I
well.
don't think Drew liked him. I don't think Drew liked the main man.
Well, he was a little bit what's it, Deadpool. Very breaking the third wall.
Well, he was
very
he was over
tongue
the
in
top.
cheek and whatnot. So like if DC or if they wanted to make a movie that was basically Deadpool with Lobo off on some intergalactic adventure, riding around on his hog and beating up a bunch of people, that would be a good time.
I wonder which
caveat, you gotta make a good movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, but that leaves it open for a lot of those, because that one could be the comic books are always funny to me.
Right.
That was the thing. It was over the top funny. I love.
But that might be a way for DC to get away from this dark brooding. Like, it'd still be dark because it's Lobo.
It would have.
But now it's not this kind of like everything's dark and the world is terrible and blah blah blah. Yeah, like DC is just like they're going over the top on their. We want to tell this dark gritty universe, and their comics never really felt dark and gritty to me.
Well, I think they were trying to set themselves apart. Zack Snyder was trying to set themselves apart from the MCU thing.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. I think that's a mistake. I think you have to kind of embrace the same thing and just write good stories for your characters and have good characters. And that's it. It's not like people are like, kind of tired of this. I'd rather have something, they want more of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness Super Pets just got released. So
Yeah. That's we were going to see that until we didn't. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate that. As always, great conversation, and hopefully we'll get another Prey movie, something, with the 3 ships coming in and hey, where's my boy?
That's right.
I dropped him off here. You guys
we're gonna need that head back.
Yeah,
his mom's gonna want an open casket.
No, see, it's gonna be Predator set during the Revolutionary War. That's what it's gonna be. Predator versus George Washington.
Now that would be cool. We ally with the Predator.
That's right. Predator Pickett's charge.
Yeah, that's what actually happened in Yorktown.
I understand.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I will see you next time.
All right. Bye.
This concludes our Speak Nerd and Enter broadcast.